Hey, all you lot, back for another news I see, and of course that is Swen backwards. On today's show we've got using your fingers is overrated, perhaps it thought it was in God's country, and of course it wasn't arson, it was Fido. But first, Tammy, isn't that your husband? According to theroot.com, a woman who only wanted to be identified as Tammy told Houston's ABC 13 that she learned her husband, Marcus Andreas Shouty, was marrying another woman after seeing a post for a wedding registry on Facebook in December 2023. Tammy said that the post was especially shocking because she and Marcus are still married. Tammy, who is Shouty's third wife, says the two got married in 2012, but had already separated by 2019. But although she'd already brought up the idea of a divorce to him more than once, he refused, saying he didn't want his family to think of him as a failure. And although he is still a free man as of this article, Shouty has been charged with bigamy, which according to Texas law could come with up to 10 years in prison. But when asked by ABC 13, Shouty said he didn't know anything about the charges and denies being married to anyone. I feel sorry for Tammy, but I suppose it's better to find out this way than finding out a few years down the line. Plus, if you couldn't get a divorce before, you can definitely get one now. And with the money you'd win in a possible settlement, you too could get two husbands of your own. Keep coming. Yeah, just dump all that toxic stuff right over there in that vat, lads. According to salon.com, 14 popular brands of tampons sold in the US, UK and the European Union have been found to contain toxic metals including lead, arsenic and cadmium. This was according to tests conducted by researchers at the University of California, Berkeley and Columbia University. According to Newsweek, 16 total types of toxic metals were found in the 30 products tested by public health researchers, but scientists have not revealed which brands they tested. The lead author of the study, Jenny A. Shearston, said, "Despite this large potential for public health concern, very little research has been done to measure the chemicals in tampons. Concerningly, we found concentrations of all metals we tested for." What was that song that listed all the elements? Arsenic, barium, calcium, cadmium, cobalt, chromium, copper, iron, manganese, mercury, nickel, lead, selenium, strontium, vanadium, and zinc. I don't know, I've heard it a couple of times. But there are differences. Non-organic tampons contain higher concentrations of arsenic and lower concentrations of lead, whilst organic tampons had more lead and less arsenic. Sounds like then you need to pick your poison. Do I like arsenic or lead? Green or silver? Madness or muscle cramps? Wow, being a woman sure is great. Nah mate, using your fingers is overrated. According to News 5, WCYB and WKRC, apparently names of stuff, a video of a Florida man using an alligator to open a can of beer has gone viral on X. The popular X or Twitter account Wall Street Silver posted a nearly 30-second video on Wednesday, which showed a man on a boat using an alligator to open a beer can. The video has since gone viral and has been viewed nearly 2 million times. The video shows the man placing his hand into the water to get the small but dangerous animal's attention, then using its sharp teeth to pierce the can and proceeding to drink from the opening. After successfully opening the can, the other individuals on the boat can be seen celebrating. And one of the comments on the Twitter post said, "Of all the Florida man things I've seen, this might be the Florida maniest." And another wrote, "Florida man is why America can never be defeated." Ah, Florida man, the last bastion of the effects of leaded petrol on the minds of children. I think we need to bring it back, you know. I mean, how many evil Knievels have been born this century, eh? Too many smart people, that's the problem. Take me back to those heady nostalgic days of delinquency, ram raids and the mullet. Intelligence is overrated. Is this really the worst behaviour from an investment banker? According to the Daily Mail, an investment banker allegedly thrust his genitals into a tree in the shadow of London's famous Albert Memorial. Westminster Magistrates Court heard that 30-year-old Paolo Bolag stripped off in central London's Kensington Gardens last April and indulged in a series of lewd acts. Bolag, who is from West London, denied a charge of outraging public decency and opted for a Crown Court trial. He was then bailed on the condition that he does not enter the park again before it begins. Magistrates heard that Bolag had been pleasuring himself before thrusting into an unspecified tree in the park. The court further heard that the investment manager, whose LinkedIn profile says he works at Oakley Capital, rammed soil into his underwear and rubbed his crotch. Bullock appeared in court only to confirm his name and age, but denied the charge of outraging public decency. And according to Bullock's LinkedIn profile, the role as an investment manager involves supporting entrepreneurs and management teams with a core focus on software, tech-enabled services, and consumer internet. It also says that he's one of the 4 co-founders of an angel investor network called 6926. Whoa, angel noises. So it looks like he's a futuristic tech financier and an old school park perv. Past and future in perfect harmony. It's just like Leonardo DiCaprio and whatever young starlet he's found that hasn't turned 25 yet. You've come to the right place for bridging finance. According to the BBC, a phone, a postbox and a door have all been painted on a Berkshire bridge by artist Impro over the years. But his latest creation appears to be a cash machine adorned with Impro Solutions logos. And regarding the cash machine, Impro said banks have reacted to complaints about branch closures and accessibility by opening cash points on river bridges for boaters within minutes of Keir Starmer walking into number 10. The first is on Sonning Bridge. Little personal information is known about the artist Impro, other than the fact he lives in Oxfordshire. And in a rare interview with the BBC in 2014, he said his art was inspired by the belief that people are encouraged to take life seriously, despite the fact that it's absurd and tragic. His other work, A Postbox, drew international attention when it caught the eye of famous spoon bender Uri Geller. Mr. Geller said, "I have never seen anything like this anywhere in the world. It's a new one on me." Uri was apparently left confused about the Postbox, and I'm left confused about Uri Geller's career. I wonder how many Friday night gear bandits will come a cropper with this one. It's only a short swim from the bank to be fair, and if you're up to the eye sockets on Colombian turbo grains, you'd be there before a card machine could say, "No further withdrawals today, mate." Perhaps it thought it was in God's country. According to The Verge, on June 19th, a Phoenix police officer pulled over an autonomous Waymo vehicle that had been driving in an oncoming traffic lane and reportedly ran a red light before pulling over in a parking lot. Waymo spokesperson Chris Benelli told The Verge in an email that the vehicle, which had no passengers, drove into the oncoming lane when it encountered inconsistent construction signage, and that it was blocked from navigating back into the correct lane. Benelli further said it stayed on the oncoming lane for about 30 seconds, before the officer pulled in behind the car, at which point it drove away from the cop. This was, though, in an apparent effort to clear the intersection, before pulling into a parking lot where the traffic stop took place. Unfortunately, though, Arizona law does not allow officers to give out tickets when a robo-taxi commits a traffic violation. However, officers have to give them to the company that owns the vehicle. So it appears that AI is currently at the brain level of that family member you need to have a talk to about giving up driving. Only thing now for AI then is to vote for Nigel Farage. Of course it wasn't arson, it was Fido. According to USA Today, a house in Colorado Springs caught fire after the homeowner's dog accidentally switched on the stove, which had some boxes on top of it. Firefighters from the Colorado Springs Fire Department were dispatched at about 4:45 AM on June 26th to a home on the city's south side for a reported fire. The homeowners had alerted the authorities of a fire on the stove in their home that had been extinguished by one of the homeowners. Firefighters and rescue teams didn't find an active fire when they got to the home. The resident, though, was hospitalised for smoke inhalation, but the fire department said, after talking to the homeowners and looking through their home security footage, we determined their pup got a bit curious and accidentally switched on the oven, which had some boxes on top of it, and the homeowners, who were asleep at the time, were alerted to the incident and woken up by their Apple HomePod, which sent them a high heat notice. Perhaps it's time we need to talk fire safety with our animals. Maybe with some pictorial diagrams to illustrate the situation. I hate to say it, but we've got to do what we can do to stop our canines becoming hot dogs. Oh yeah. Smashed it. I will see myself out. 2 pints a mile, please, landlord, and make it quacky. According to the Huffington Post, a bow tie wearing duck has been injured in a drunken pub brawl with a local dog in Chumley in Devon. The booze-loving bird, affectionately named Star, was enjoying a pint in the old Courthouse Inn with his handler Barry Heyman when Harry's canine Meggie sparked a bar brawl. This is journalism right here. Star was unfortunately though left with injuries to his beak after the fight. Mr. Heyman said Star pushed his luck too far and Meggie snapped, splitting Star's beak right down the middle. He further said he gave her a stare and then promptly stood on her back. It was not pretty and not nice. We were so scared we would lose Star. I'd be scared too. He had to be rushed to the vets and go under anaesthetic, which is always risky with ducks. But thankfully, our Star is a tough cookie and he came out okay. Oh, he loves his pint. Oh, and he's got a bow tie. Who hasn't had a fight in a pub? It's a rite of passage if anything. It's like having your first beans on toast or enjoying a good Q. I'd go so far as to say it's as quintessentially British as being let down by your own government. It's a local city for local people. According to The Independent, thousands of demonstrators hit central Barcelona over the weekend to protest against mass tourism in the city. Protesters carried signs reading, "Barcelona is not for sale," and "Tourists, go home," before some of them used water guns on tourists eating outdoors at restaurants. This was after rents rose by 18% in June from a year earlier in two of Spain's tourist cities, Barcelona and Madrid, and Barcelona's mayor, Joan Colboni, announced a plan in June to phase out all short-term lets by 2028. A drastic move by the authorities who seek to rein in soaring housing costs and make the city livable for residents. Yeah, Sodom. So what if 20% of the Spanish GDP is tourism, and it's mainly your own people profiting from buying up houses and making them into Airbnbs? Those pesky tourists! They better leave, but just as soon as they've spent all their money. Hi, yeah, can I get 2.99s please and hold the seawater? According to the BBC, Coast Guard teams rescued an ice cream van that had been swept out to sea. This was after Padstow Coast Guard rescue team and RNLI lifeguards were sent to Harlyn Bay near Padstow, Cornwall at around 5 o'clock Sunday evening, after it was caught by the tide. According to the Coast Guard, the driver was found safe and well and not in the vehicle, and the van was recovered at around 9:45 that evening. An onlooker, Catherine Smith, had been on the beach when she saw a small crowd gathering near the cliff edge. She said, "I walked over to see what was going on, and when I arrived, the ice cream van already appeared stuck in shallow water. However, the tide was coming in at quite a pace. Many people tried to help by trying to pull the vehicle back to shore, and another car drove onto the beach to try and tow it out. But with the tide coming in so quickly, the sea was soon up to the windows of the van, and it was clear it wasn't going anywhere." Surely the ice cream person would have noticed the water coming towards them, unless they were so entranced by the ice cream machine that they just didn't notice. It happens to me sometimes. It makes me hand over £5 for a touch of cold milk, sprinkles, and a cone with all the structural integrity of a verbal contract. Penis. According to livescience.com, a penis-shaped floating iceberg floated by the town of Dildo in Canada, which apparently isn't too far from the city of Spread Eagle and the town of Placenta. Apparently, after doing its little tour of human production named towns, the iceberg then collapsed in Conception Bay, Newfoundland. But this is not the first phallically shaped thing to appear in nature. A man went viral for his photographs of a penis-shaped rock tower in Arches National Park. Men only grow up so much and penises are just funny. Funny in the mirror. Funny when it's drawn on a Wetherspoon's bathroom wall. Funny when whipped out at the post office. It's just funny. It's like a fart in a lift. Its appeal never goes away. Do you not want to try a couple first? No? Straight to 100, yeah. According to the BBC, a man tried to smuggle more than 100 live snakes into mainland China by stuffing them in his trousers. According to officials, the unnamed traveller was stopped after passing through the Nothing to Declare gate at the crossing between semi-autonomous Hong Kong and the city of Shenzhen. But upon inspection, the man had 104 snakes in 6 canvas drawstring bags inside his trolleys, and each bag was found to contain living snakes in all kinds of shapes, sizes and colours. They were mostly old small, but there was a lot of them, probably too many, and without specifying punishment, the customs authority said those who break the rules will be held liable in accordance with the law. So we've had snakes in a plane, and now it's snakes in your pants. What's Samuel L. Jackson's number? I think his gravitas could really bring this to life. fair play for committing to a gag, lad. According to KPTV.com, Jackass star Steve-O confirmed this week he is going to undergo breast augmentation for a laugh during an appearance on the X5 podcast on Wednesday. The 50-year-old prankster said he's been thinking about getting a pair of fake breasts for years. Steve-O said, "I came up with the idea a few years ago to get a boob job and just film a bunch of legitimately funny hidden camera pranks with me in disguise, and then revealing who I actually am. It's just funny endurance stunts and whatever." He further said, "I've been so particularly in love with that idea because the opportunity for comedy, I believe, is absolutely there. And it's like the quintessential Steve-O. That level of commitment. It's only going to be temporary though." And Steve-O said he'd only have them for 2 months maximum before having them removed again. And further said, "I spoke with doctors and said to them candidly, the one thing I'm really freaked out about and bummed out about and would back out of this over is if I'm just going to be a mess afterwards. But the doctors were unfazed. They said, 2 months, it comes out, absolutely no issue. And he's going to get D-cup sized bangers." I think every bloke has thought about getting a couple of bangers for your very own. Get out of the shower, bam! Ride on the bus and it's a bit bumpy. Ooh, checking them out, are we, mate? And hey, if it gets you out of the odd speeding ticket, this might be a viable option for us all. Fight in a tube? Yes, please. According to 7 News Miami, a United Airlines flight that took off from South Florida was forced to make an emergency landing after a passenger bit a flight attendant and yelled swear words at other passengers. United Flight 762 was heading to Newark, New Jersey after taking off from Miami International Airport on Tuesday. A mobile phone video obtained by TMZ, or TMZ if you're not American, shows a tense situation where a woman was screaming at other passengers. Flight attendants then tried to de-escalate the situation and ended up zip-tying the woman. That's when the woman bit one of the flight attendants' shoulders, ripping off a piece of his uniform. She said, "Suck my," another word for a male chicken, and then allegedly threatened to kill a woman and said, "Go back to Russia, old lady." The woman also said, "Let go of me. I'm a description for sex. Girl, you trying to kill me?" The flight was then forced to make an emergency landing at Orlando International Airport, where authorities were nicely waiting at the gate for her. She was then removed, but then flight crew had to be changed for a new crew, and this delayed the flight by 3.5 hours. Perhaps she was under the influence of booze, drugs, or commercial grade drain cleaner, but this seems like a great way to ensure you never fly again. Who's to say she's not just a nervous flyer with a penchant for shirt cotton? Here are some stories that didn't quite make the cut and got le chop. A 65-year-old woman apparently died on a tandem skydive. Apparently there was some sort of problem, and the instructor is in a really critical condition, and she unfortunately did bin it. According to the article, it was always something she'd wanted to do, and there was even some of her family members up there in the plane with her. I'm not sure becoming human pizza was part of her bucket list, but there you go, SARS. Another story is that hackers have leaked 39,000 concert tickets. This is all in an attempt apparently to blackmail Ticketmaster. There's loads of artists, but some of the artists were like Pink, Aerosmith, Alanis Morissette, Billy Joel and Sting. What sort of person would use free tickets to see Pink anyway? I'd pay money not to see Pink in concert. And if I ever hear Family Portrait again, it'll be a lifetime too soon. I think I'd genuinely rather have a rectal exam by Shaquille O'Neal. Another story is a guy who went to a park with some friends in South Africa, wanted to get a bit closer to a lot of elephants, and then, they trampled him to death. Apparently the elephants were out there just protecting their young. It's a common elephant thing they do. As do we all, I think. The 3 people though who stayed in the car, perfectly fine, didn't get bothered. It's almost like some animals are wild. Darwin Award winner right there. And my final honourable mention. 2 women have been charged with murder after they killed and then chopped off their sugar daddy's thumb. Apparently they used his thumb to get into his phone, pay for Ubers, weed and booze, all on his dead tab. The man died though after multiple stabbing injuries. Could be a knife, could be a stiletto heel, I don't know. The article didn't really say. Surely though, the point of a sugar daddy is to keep the money coming. This is quite final. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe if you do so fancy. Also, if you think there's any news that we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description below, in this fabled area below this box. Please also check out our news sources down there in the description, because news is cool and you should think so too. And there's quite a lot of information that I've kind of glossed over. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed. Stay gravy.